Today I'm joined by Ev Foster, who is operating principal for Keller Williams in Scotland. Ev's been in the estate agency for many years, and I've asked her down to Grantham from Glasgow to talk about her story, the ups and the downs, the trials and the tribulations, so you can learn lots from her. Ev, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Pleasure. You were born in the late 60s. Were you an only child, or did you have any brothers and sisters?
A younger sister,
Okay.
2.5 years younger than me.
Okay. As you were growing up, what did your mum and dad teach you?
They taught me different things, actually. My dad taught me calmness, and my mum taught me negativity, which I now turn into positivity because she was a very negative person. But I've learned from it. And yeah, as I've grown older, I've realised that that's not the way I want to live my life.
When you say negativity, what did you at the time? How did that drag you down?
It was always, it can't be done. You can't. You know, there was very little, yeah, go for it, Ev. You can. Because that was the way I was as a child and always have been.
Where did you think that stemmed from? Her
I think,
parents?
yeah, her upbringing. Yeah, I think it's just been a generational thing that's come down, and
What did your grandparents on your mother's side? Can you see what they did and taught her?
yeah, my gran, we lived with us for many years, so my mum's mum, so I could see that mum had just kind of taken over where gran left off, and she was the kind of same mentality. Yeah.
Was your dad positive? Was it yin and yang?
Yeah, very much. And my mum could, just blow a fuse at the smallest thing, and then dad would just say, are you finished, dear? And then just kind of calm the situation.
Almost like a grey rock in a stream.
Yeah.
Just let it go by.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So your dad didn't only teach you calmness, he actually taught you, was he an outwardly positive person, or did you just let your drama queen mum blow up and then just...
He let her blow up a bit, but then he was always very positive. He was very friendly.
He put his foot down with a firm hand.
Yeah.
When you were growing up in Glasgow?
Yeah.
In the 70s?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Glasgow has changed over the years. Mm-hmm. In the 70s, it wasn't the place it was now. Mm-hmm. What did living in Glasgow teach you?
I don't think I really saw the true Glasgow, actually, where I was kind of in the, I was in Burnside, so kind of, south side of Glasgow, the suburbs, so I would say I had quite a cotton wool world until I then started my first job in Glasgow city centre in the Glasgow Royal, which then really opened my eyes to what Glasgow was about.
Because that was nursing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Did you, as you were growing up, did you always want to be a nurse?
Always wanted to be a nurse, never thought of anything else. And
where did that caring, a lot of my family have gone into that, and they just want to care for people. Where did that one come from?
I don't really know where it came from. It's just something I used to have all the dolls lined up in the top of landing and have my dolls hospital, and it was just at school, I was asked if at one point I wanted to be a doctor, stick in and you can get all your exams. I said, I don't, I want to be a nurse. And that's what I did when I left school. But yeah, it wasn't quite the job that I thought it was.
No, because nowadays you need a degree and everything to get it to be nursing. Now you just rolled in at 16 and...
Well, I was one of the last kind of non-degree nurses to be taken, so I was 17 and a half. You had to be, and then you're sort of 6 weeks in the classroom and then right out into the ward. Okay. So yeah, we did injections and oranges and all that kind of stuff before we get let loose on patients. So yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Did you like being a nurse?
I enjoyed parts of it. I enjoyed caring for the patients. My main thing was in the haemophiliac ward, so there was lots of banter, there was lots of really good stuff. I didn't enjoy the hierarchy, and I didn't enjoy they didn't want you to chat to the patients as much as I wanted to do. It was all kind of, I didn't enjoy that bit of it.
2 years later, you almost turned 180 degrees and went to work for a financial services firm in sales. What the hell happened there?
I did. Well, it's quite simple. My boyfriend at the time worked in financial services as a sales consultant, and I thought, I quite like that job. I think that would be quite fun. and I applied for a job that I saw online and got it, and then got moved through to Edinburgh.
Because,
Through
I
there.
mean, we're going to go through your CV now.
Yeah,
It's quite obvious that there is an entrepreneurial streak
yeah.
there. I find it really strange that that's why you went into nursing to start with.
Yeah, I think part of that is because, I mean, my dad worked for the railway for 40 years, so I wasn't around any kind of entrepreneurs. I wasn't, I grew up kind of, at school, you
There's
went
no
to
one in the
school.
outer family that got their own business, entrepreneur,
No,
uncles, aunties.
no, it was kind of, you went to school, you got your exams, you got a job, and that was it kind of thing. I did have an uncle who was a doctor, but that was about it. But no, there was no kind of, I wasn't around business people, I wasn't around kind of sales people, I wasn't, I didn't have that until I then kind of then started socialising kind of at 18, 19.
Do you think that was always in there? Can you look back to your teenage years and see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of sports in my teenage years, and I'm very competitive, and I
We're
kind
getting
of,
somewhere now. So
yeah,
winning
yeah,
is what's...
yeah. Oh no, I like to win. Yeah, I do like to. I like to win, but I like to be successful. It's not just about the winning. I was a netball player. I played for Scotland, and that was my life. Going through my teenage years was getting on that court and playing sport.
Why success? I mean, is it the money or is it the adulation, the esteem, all the above?
Of sport or now just success? No, I just like to do things well. I like to, it's not so much about
But you
money.
said
And
successful.
yeah. Success to me, part of that is just being feeling fulfilled and being happy in what you're doing. And, my CV, although varied, everything has been sort of with people and helping people and, surrounded by people. And I think that's really important to me.
So you moved from financial services to a state agency in '92.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
first taste of a state agency. Why
yeah.
did you move into a state agency?
I just fancied it. I saw the job and I thought, oh, I quite fancy doing something a bit
I can
different.
sell life policies. I can sell this.
I can sell this. Again, it's just working with people. The public fascinate me. I love working with people. So, I mean, and that was obviously before, the internet was the way it is. It was before Rightmove. It was proper estate agency, you know.
Can you remember your first valuation?
No, because initially I was on the mortgage side, so I was the mortgage consultant, and
Ah,
then as time went on, got kind of dragged into the estate agency
yeah.
side because I couldn't keep my nose out of it, and I wanted to get involved in that side. So I worked alongside a valuer. We're out the West End of Glasgow, so yeah. But no, I didn't ever actually at that point go out on a valuation on my own.
And then you decided to set up your own IFA business a few years
Yeah.
later. You're hopping around a bit here, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess it was kind of, I just didn't know really what I wanted to concentrate on. But, and again, I was surrounded by a lot of financial services people. So it kind of felt right to do that. Obviously, I had to take my exams and I had to qualified as an IFA. But yeah, I enjoyed that time as well. Again, just, helping people. There's a theme.
You then got married and had 3 kids in the early 2000s.
Four
4.
kids.
Wow. What have you got? How many girls? How many boys?
3 boys, 1 girl. So yeah, so I had the business until I had my second child, and then it just was very difficult to kind of juggle it all. So then I had 3 and 4. So at one point I had 4, 5 and under. Yeah, it was quite a time.
Wow. 4 in such a short period.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Here you go. So you were staying at home. Were you itching to get back to work?
Yeah, I was. Although I was chairperson of the nursery, I was like fundraising. I was involved in the PTA. It was everything kind of round about that. Because I wasn't a natural stay-at-home mum. Let's put it that way.
So those were kind of outlets for that itchy feet.
Yeah, I guess the kind of, was involved in a lot of fundraising for the school and for the nursery and things like that. So it was the kind of, the business side of it was then coming in, at that, but obviously doing it for the good of, the kids' education. And so it was kind of combining that skill at that point. Yeah.
You told me when before we switched the cameras on that when the kids were growing up, you were in a nice house. Everything was brilliant. You didn't have to rush back. But then, unfortunately, divorce came.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Well, before divorce came, I had started fitness. I started a gym, bought a franchise and started that just when my youngest went to school. So
Is that just something because you were bored and
yeah. Well, yeah. I just knew I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mum, and I had a bit of guilt about that because a lot of people around about me were happy with that, but I didn't want to kind of do coffees, lunches, etc. So.
for who?
Well, I felt as if, I had this lovely life and I did have a lovely life, but I wanted to do more for me, I guess. So, setting up a business and then coming away from the kids, but I only worked when the kids were at school or nursery at that point because obviously I could, I had the choice to do that. And yeah, I mean, that was a great part of my life. But initially it was when I was married, it was more of a hobby. It didn't have to serve me financially, but then yes, divorce happened and it had to serve me financially and it didn't. So decisions had to be made quite quickly after that.
So you divorced. You obviously the money's had to be split. So therefore, weren't living the life that you were used to.
hmm
You pumped up the business, the fitness business. How did that go?
So I ended up leaving the fitness business and taking a job, going back into estate agency, because I couldn't, as I say, that wasn't really financially serving me and the staff, and so I ended up leaving the
Because you
business.
stuck it for four more years, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I stuck it. No, I stuck it for, yeah, 4 years after, yeah, and yeah, it then.
Was it a classic that the money was coming in, but everything was coming out? So therefore, a lot of money was coming in, but a lot of money was going out,
Yeah,
not leaving you that
yeah,
much left.
yeah. There wasn't much getting left in the
I
pocket.
think
Yeah,
there's an awful lot of estate agents out there that would probably feel exactly the same
yeah,
now.
yeah,
How
yeah.
did that make you feel?
I think, well, I remember when I left the gym, a friend of mine, we went on a course, a business course, and I got really upset because I felt I'd failed. And, she said, but if you didn't fail, it failed financially, but there was nothing else you could do, but you served a lot of people. I was helping people with their fitness, their health, their nutrition. And, there was a lot of people will still remember the gym and how it made them feel. So I was disappointed because I don't like failure. I said earlier, I like success. But when she turned it, and I'll never forget it, she said, it just failed you, but you didn't fail people. So, but I just had to come away from it because I'd got myself in quite a bit of debt trying to keep it going because obviously I had staff, they had mortgages, they had rent to pay. And yeah, I should have come away from it earlier.
Do you think your colleagues in the office knew what you were having to do, like, pay the payroll on credit cards? Do you think they knew that?
My manager knew it, the others didn't. The others didn't, but and I should probably, again, hindsight, maybe got rid of a couple of members of staff, but I felt for them and their families, and I was just at that point just looking after everybody else, and then it had to be no, stop it, Ev. You need to do something else.
So did you sell the business or
I
close it
gave
down?
I gave it to my manager. She then took it over. We decided that because we were a franchise and we were wanting to come away from the franchise, a lot of it, the franchise fees were absolutely killing us. So we wanted to come away from the franchise and we weren't allowed to come away from the franchise. And because I was the franchisee, I couldn't be involved in another gym. But she could. So she came away from the franchise and just set it up, under her own name. So, and then it went for another few years after that. So, but I had to kind of step away from it. It was the best thing for everybody at that point.
And you went back into a state agency.
I did,
Who did you go and work
yes.
for? This is it. What year was this? 16?
16, yeah, I worked for Express Estate Agency,
Okay.
they're based in Manchester, but I covered obviously Scotland, Lower Scotland.
So they are very similar to Springbok. Their model, if memory serves you well, is that they go after properties that have been on the market with other agents,
Yeah,
hit them hard with Facebook Google AdWords and lots of letters,
yeah.
and basically pick it up the second time.
Yep, that's exactly what they do. And there was a lot of properties that, stuck in certain areas of Scotland that were maybe on with not even estate agents, maybe on with solicitors. And, they weren't really getting pushed and marketed. And, some of them weren't even on the bigger portals. So we would go in, and they did have cash offer, but it was mainly some very few took the cash offer. It was then we got the properties to sell. So yeah.
Did you enjoy that? I mean, I've got some friends that have worked for them for years.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. What I didn't like was kind of, I mean, I was a lister. You know, I went in, you know, obviously listed the property and then never spoke to the clients again. It wasn't what I'd been used to in terms of estate agency, and I was driving a lot of miles, covering a lot of Scotland.
So you were very similar to certain models, online models, where you basically put the house on the market and then.
Yeah.
I mean, but then if you actually look, most valuers don't get involved with the with the vendor management or even the sales chasing. You enjoyed that, did you?
I do. I enjoy the interaction with the clients. Yeah, yeah. And I think it was, I mean, it was the mileage I was doing. Again, I was never seeing the kids. I mean, I was earning good money, but that's not what it was all about. I was kind of up and all over Scotland, and yeah, didn't really see the kids.
Did you have mum guilt at the time?
Yeah, for the second time, but in a different way. The first time was not being happy, sort of staying at home with them, but you know, changed my mindset for that. And then this time it was, you know, right, I can remember third night in a row, it was the phone call, you know, what's for dinner, mum? And I was like, it's Domino's, it's Domino's again. Because I'm trying to get home and I couldn't get home, and I thought something has to give. So, and I wasn't enjoying the non-client bit of what I was doing, and then not being home, you know, in time for dinner and time for different things. So yeah, something had to give.
You said to me before you put the cameras on, but you got to a point in 2018 where you got to the end of the job and financially you were at a big dead end. How did that happen?
So I left Express and started my own agency with Keller Williams. And it was literally, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm starting my own agency. So I started it, and then there was a kind of, obviously, the lead period of listings to then getting paid. And I had sort of maybe 4 or 5 months where there was no money coming in. So I got to the point October 2018 where I had literally 4 pence in my bank account, no petrol in my car, 4 kids at home, and I discovered that you could put petrol in your car with the pay at pump using your card, even if you didn't have money in your account, which was quite good. A friend of mine gave me £200 and said, Ev, you can do this. You know you've got, you know, money's coming. Keep going, keep going. And the same friend who had said about the gym, she gave me £200 and saw me through that weekend, and that's been the history of it, and that was the turning point. But it was a really dark kind of time.
If you had to have that £200, do you think you'd still be an estate agent today?
I don't know what I don't think I would have been an estate agent, because I needed the flexibility of being my own agency, because I couldn't fit into the normal traditional working 9 till 6 and one weekend or one late night. I tried to get a job like that, but you know, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it with school and, you know, drop-offs and pickups and all the rest of it. So I kind of had to make it work. And I think you get to a point where you're not unemployable because you're not good at what you do, but you know, I like the freedom of being able to make my own hours, but and then work later on if the kids were in bed and what have you, you know.
What did it teach you being at rock bottom financially?
That I never want to be there again. And that if you do work hard, and I do believe that I was working hard, and I knew that a lot of it was in my mind, because I'd gone from a very abundant lifestyle when I was married to really every penny counted. You know, everything was, you know, and I was very fortunate. And then I began to really kind of do the kind of growth, kind of changing the mindset, looking at different things. And that helped me through a lot. That helped me through as well.
In 2020, you went from being a self-employed agent in the Keller model to actually almost working for the model. What happened there then?
So, well, I actually came away from, so I had grown my business, and I had 3 self-employed agents working for me. I had a Smooth Move at the time, and I took it away from Keller Williams because at that point Scotland wasn't necessarily being run the way that it should have been run. So I took it away, and the agents came with me. And then I got asked to open up the market centre, which initially I said no. I said no for 4 or 5 months to Ben, who had phoned me. And I said no, and the power of follow-up, he just kept phoning. And then I got to the point in my business I didn't have the structure to then service the self-employed agents that wanted to come on and join me. So I thought, well, if I go back to Keller Williams and then I have the market centre, I've then got the structure, I've got the models, I've got the processes. And so that happened in January 2020. And then obviously 2 months later, we went into lockdown. So that was a bit of a challenging period. Well, it's a challenging for everybody. But when you've just opened a business, it was challenging as well.
Let's roll the clock forward now to December 23. A lot of water has passed under the bridge with regard to Keller. Is the operating centre all yours in Scotland?
Yeah, so it's now, I took over Edinburgh at the beginning of this year. So we've got Glasgow and Edinburgh, and the sub-licenses are all ours. I have a couple of US based investors, but they don't have anything to do with the running of the business. So it's myself and well, Stephen and my team, my leadership team. Stephen Pye is my team leader, and Lynette, because the Keller model obviously is a leadership team based in an office in the market centre. So yeah, we've got a good team. We've now got a really solid team.
Now, in a separate video, we're going to talk about the Keller model and its pros and cons. But if I get you back in 5 or 10 years' time, where's Keller going to be in Scotland?
Well, where's in 5 years' time? Well, it will be the biggest we nearly are the biggest self-employed model at the moment, but
Okay.
yeah, I think we'll be.
But that's only 2 or 3% of the market, so
Well,
come on.
Yeah, well, I would like to think we'll be about 250 agents in Scotland in 5 years' time. That would be the aim. We want to be at 120 by next year.
How many? When next year?
By the end of next year.
Okay, so what have you got at the moment?
Just under 60.
So you've got 60 in December 23.
Yep.
And you want to be to say 200? You say what did you
120
say? 120
by the end of
Okay, that's not too fast a growth. That's nice and easy, because you have been guilty in the past, not Scotland, of almost like a one in, one out.
And that's not what I want. That's not what I want. I want to have, when I say 120, I mean 120 that are producing agents, you know, that are in the business for the long term, not coming in and, yeah, as you say, then thinking, I don't like this isn't for me.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let's leave the chat there. And thank you for your time today. And then we'll do some separate videos, short, sharp, which go through all these things, the extra things about the future of Keller Williams in the UK, and lots of other topics like mum guilt and things like that. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.